When the Spanish Green Berets trained with the U.S. Green Berets at Fort Bragg, they discovered something they didn't expect. North Carolina, a group of 12 soldiers from the COE in Alicante steps off the plane. Canvas backpacks, Charuca boots, set-me rifle on their shoulder. The Green Berets are waiting. Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, the most feared soldiers in the world. They look at them with respect, yes, but also thinking, let's see what these guys are made of. And during weeks of joint training at Fort Bragg, the Americans discovered something that wasn't in any manual, that the Spanish Green Berets reached the same destination, but by a completely different road. These are the 7 differences that define that encounter, and if you went through a COE between the 70s and the year 2000, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Difference 1, selection. They broke you fast. We wore you down slow. Green Berets, American, Fort Benning, Georgia. Special Forces Assessment and Selection. 24 days. The goal from minute 1, eliminate you, not with words, with numbers. Day 1, 300 candidates. Day 24, 90 still standing, 70% gone in less than a month, 4 in the morning. Still dark. The silence before the whistle is the worst part. They know it, they use it, 25 kilos on your back, 30 kilometers, ground soaked with dew, fail 1 test, out, complain once, out, hesitate for a second, out. Spanish Green, Berets, Rabasa, Alicante, Special Operations Guerrilla Course, 6 months. The goal, wear you down until you decided to leave. Week 1, normal training, everything manageable. You think you can handle it. Week 3, 40-kilometer marches. You can no longer feel the weight of the pack. That's the bad sign. Week 5, 72 hours without sleep. Your mind starts seeing things that aren't there. Week 8, 10 days in the mountains with 1 tin of sardines for the whole patrol. They didn't shout at you much. They watched you. And that look from the sergeant after you had failed in silence, it weighed more than any punishment. Slowly, with quiet irony, the Americans looked at us like we were too austere, like being uncomfortable was our mistake. They didn't understand it was the method. COE, Sergeant Rabasa, 1993. What they said about each other. They take longer, but the ones who finish, they're still standing. American instructor, Fort Bragg, 1989. They break your body in 3 weeks. We break your mind in 6 months. In the end, we both arrive at the same place. Spanish Sergeant Rabasa, 1992. Difference 2, physical training. They were speed and power. We were endurance and hunger. Green Berets, 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day. Supplements, isotonic drinks, 6 in the morning, 8 kilometers, under 40 minutes, or out. 7, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 20 pull-ups. 6 in the evening, 1,000 meters in the pool. Time to the second. Goal, build a machine. Spanish Green. Berets, 7:30, 18 kilo pack, 20 kilometers, whatever the day demanded. 12, technical instruction, explosives, communications, night orientation. 3 in the afternoon, hand-to-hand combat, no protection. The cold of the evening deep in your bones. 6, 10 kilometers. You had to finish even if you had to walk it. Standard rations, 2,200 calories. Lentils, stew, rice, whatever was available, no supplements, no optimization. Goal, endure without complaining. Real example, Bosnia, 1995. 50-kilometer march. The Green Berets set off at 6 kilometers per hour with scheduled stops. They arrived first, tired but functional. The Spanish COE left an hour later at 5 kilometers per hour, no stops. They arrived shattered, but on their feet. The American captain turns to the Spanish lieutenant. "You guys are slow, but you never stop." The lieutenant shrugs. "It's just that we don't know how to stop." Difference 3, survival. They had a manual, we had hunger. Green Berets, SERE phase. Survival, evasion, resistance, escape. 3 weeks, standard kit, K-bar knife, fishing kit, waterproof matches, FM 21-76 manual, 40 hours of prior theory, 50 edible plants, trapping techniques, water purification, all documented, all taught. Spanish Green, Berets, 10 days in the mountains. Equipment, a tarp, a rope, a machete, 1 lighter for 6 men, and water purification tablets. Prior instruction, 2 hours. The sergeant points to the mountain. "There's water up there. There's food up there. Go find it." And they released you. No manual. You learned by trying, and by getting it wrong, and by going hungry. Boiled snails. They tasted like rubber. Nettles. Crickets. Larvae if you could find them. Frogs if you found a pond. Rabbit if you were lucky, which you almost never were. Chanteur example. Fort Bragg, 1988, a Spanish soldier in the American SERE course. Day 5. Instructor sees his fishing kit unused. "You have fishing hooks. Why didn't you fish?" "There was no river nearby. I wasn't going to waste time looking for one." The instructor nods, surprised. "In our course, we teach you to optimize resources." "In yours?" "In ours, they teach you to survive without them." And those are just the first 3 differences. The ones that follow are what surprised everyone the most when they worked together in Bosnia, the Gulf, and real missions. If you were a Green Beret, if you did exchanges with the Americans, tell me in the comments. No judgment here. Here we remember. Difference 4, equipment. They had technology. We had resourcefulness. Green Berets, M4, A1 rifle with ACOG 4x scope. And Beretta M9 pistol, AN/PRC 126 tactical radio. Garmin GPS from 1991, AN/P S7 night vision, Alice pack, Gore-Tex boots, budget per soldier, $15,000 to $20,000 in gear. Spanish Green, Berets, Setme, model L in 5.56, Star 30, M, Ator Jungle King Knife, AN/P RC77 radio, a 1960s model inherited, Silva compass, IGN topographic map, olive green canvas backpack, Chiruka or Sagara boots, aluminum canteen, Maglite flashlight, if you were lucky, budget per soldier, $1,500 to $2,000, 10 times or less. But here you learned something the Americans didn't need to learn, how to make do with what you had. The radio broke, wire and electrical tape. The boot came apart, needle and thread. They had spare parts, we had know-how. Calmly, almost to himself, we thought they depended too much on technology, that if the GPS failed, they'd get lost, and sometimes we were right. COE Lieutenant Bosnia 1996, real example. Night Patrol Bosnia 1996. The Green Beret activates his night vision, everything in phosphorescent green. He advances confidently. The Spaniard has no night vision. He advances by reading the shadows, listening to the ground with his feet. How did you navigate without NVGs? With my eyes. And with these, he points to his ears. Old school. No, Spanish school. Difference 5, mindset. They competed. We endured. Green Berets, everything was competition. Scoreboards, public rankings. Who ran fastest? Who shot best? Who lasted longest? If you were first, recognition. If you were last, pressure. Goal, stand out. Spanish green. Berets, the philosophy was the opposite. Don't draw attention to yourself. The best wasn't the one who ran fastest. It was the one who endured without complaining. The one who kept going when the body said enough. The one who went unnoticed. No rankings, no prizes. Good. You continue. That's all. One look from the sergeant. And that was enough. Real example. Exchange. 1993. A Spaniard in the Green Beret course. Week 3. 12-kilometer run with obstacles. He finishes 18th out of 40, in the middle. Not first, not last. You could have gone faster. Why didn't you push? Because there was no need. The goal was to finish, not to win. But here we teach you to always be the best. In Spain, they teach us to endure. If you're the best at enduring, you don't need to be first. Difference 6. After the course, they stayed special. We went back to being normal. Green berets, green beret on the uniform, Special Forces insignia, group patch on the arm, Special Forces group, 5th, 7th, 10th, elite units with high budgets. When you walked into the mess hall, people looked at you. There was respect, recognition, status. Spanish green. Berets, you finished the course and went back to your unit. You put on the green beret, yes, but without fanfare. You didn't tell war stories at the bar. You didn't show off at the barracks. And when someone asked, what did you do in the military service? I was in a COE. And what's that? A unit, mountain unit. That's it. You didn't explain the 72 hours without sleep. You didn't tell anyone about the 10 days eating snails. Because here you learned something. The one who knows doesn't need to say it. Real example, Veterans Reunion, 2005. The ex-Green Beret arrives with his jacket full of patches, insignias, his beret framed on the wall at home. He tells anecdotes, shows photos. The ex-COE shows up in jeans and a shirt. Nothing to identify him. He listens, drinks his beer. Quiet. Someone who knows him says, he was a Green Beret. Why haven't you said anything? Because there's no need to. Difference 7. What they said about each other, mutual respect after real missions. Bosnia, Kosovo, the Gulf, Afghanistan. When the real missions came, reality showed itself. What the Americans said about the Spaniards. Official report, Bosnia, 1996. Superior adaptability in resource-limited environments, notable physical endurance, low complaint rate, high mission fulfillment. They don't have our gear. They don't have our budget, but they get the job done. Every single time. Fort Bragg Sergeant, 1998. Tough as nails, quiet as ghosts. American Colonel, Kosovo, 1999. What the Spaniards said about the Americans, they have resources we can only dream of. But when the technology fails, we keep going just the same. They need time to adapt. COE 31. Lieutenant, Alicante, 1997. They are well-oiled machines. We are survivors. 2 ways of reaching the same place. Veteran Corporal, First Class, 2001-2, Roads, 1 character. In the end, the American Green Berets and the Spanish Green Berets were neither better nor worse. They were different. Them with more budget, more technology, more recognition. Us with more hunger, more silence, more endurance. They broke you in 24 days. We wore you down in 6 months. They ran fast. We walked far. They stood out. We endured. We weren't better. They weren't better. But when it was time to hold on, each did it in their own way. That is what forges a Green Beret, not the flag, not the budget, the mindset. And that mindset, if you carry it inside, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you were a Spanish Green Beret, tell us in the comments which COE you were in. If you met any American Green Berets at Fort Bragg or on a mission, tell us what you learned. No competition here. Here we remember. And if this video has brought back something of what you lived, hit like and share it with those who were there with you. Because what you lived is never forgotten. Memory of Spain.